Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here. Today we are doing a battle report between the Custodes and the Grey Knights. And today we are playing on map 3 of the LGT pack, which I've put up on screen for you to see here. In case you're wondering, it's designed so that both models, when put at the absolute corner of their deployment zones, can just, with a 6-inch move, get onto the middle objective. Apart from that, there are 3 objectives on the board, all along the diagonal line. On the Grey Knight team, from top left going down to bottom right, first we have our Justicar with falchions. Ignore his staff, that's just to look cool. Then we have a heavy with a silencer. Then we have a combat with a demon hammer. Then we have a regular Grey Knight with falchions. And from the bottom left, we have a Grey Knight gunner with incinerator, who is a demo specialist. And then just to the right of him, we have a regular Grey Knight with falchions. The general idea here is to, if possible, isolate and overwhelm a single Custodes, otherwise stay away from them. The secondaries picked are Shield Breaker, Stolen Tech and Aloof. Now some of these are LGT exclusives, so I will explain them for you. Shield Breaker is basically custom built to go against Custodes, or of course any faction that can bring along a Storm Shield. When your opponent fails a normal 2-up save or a 3-up invulnerable save, gain 1 VP. This can only be scored once per round. Stolen Technology. At the end of the game, choose an objective marker that you control. If your opponent controlled that objective marker for more total battle rounds than you, gain 3 victory points. If your opponent controlled that objective marker for the same number of battle rounds as you, gain 2 victory points. And finally, Aloof. If you have more models than your opponent within 1 inch of the edge of the board, counting all board edges, gain 1 victory point. And here we have the Custodes, going from left to right. First we have a combat with Guardian Spear and Misericordia, then we have our leader with a Storm Shield, and finally we have our Zealot with Guardian Spear. The general plan for the Custodes is to get 2 of the guys into the centre and just sit there and hope that we can weather their fire. The third guy is going to go to a second objective just in case we actually manage to catch the Grey Knights off guard and manage to hold more, which can happen. The secondaries Custodes are going to use is Domination, Lead from the front and Cut apart. Domination in the LGT pack is slightly different. If you have more specialists within 3 inches of the centre of the board than your opponent, gain 1 victory point. Lead from the front. When your leader removes an enemy model with an attack in the shooting phase, gain 1 victory point. When your leader removes an enemy model with an attack in the fight phase, gain 1 victory point. When your leader uses the tactic Lead by Example, gain 1 victory point. And finally, Cut Apart. At the end of the fight phase, score 1 victory point if 1 or more models from your kill team made an attack that took an enemy model out of action in that phase. And for those of you unaware, the LGT pack is Hold Kill. That means you get 1 victory point for holding a single objective and 1 victory point for holding more objectives than your opponent, and same with kills, you get 1 victory point for killing 1 model and a second victory point for killing more models than your enemy. And of course the game starts with an initiative roll. Custodes on the white dice, Grey Knights on the green. Custodes get 4 to the Grey Knights 12. Grey Knights go first. For their first move, they're going to advance the demo incinerator. It's only a 2, but that's all they needed. With the 8 inches of move, they get nicely onto the centre of the point. We put down an advance token, then the leader heads to the other side of the board, and the regular Grey Knight heads to the other objective. We then normal move the regular Grey Knight, keeping him behind cover, and we do the same for the combat with the demon hammer. Finally, the silencer readies and we give everyone their tokens. We go over to the Custodes for their movement phase, and our leader can make it with 6 inches onto the objective. However, we check to see if we want to make a charge. Unfortunately, we are within 8 inches of the incinerator. That's not a charge we want to make. We move our 6 inches, however we can't quite place there because of terrain and having such a large base. So we don't make it onto the objective turn 1, we actually have to stop just short. Our combat moves up round the side, again not getting on the objective but managing to remain in cover. And our Zealot, not wanting to crowd the other star, moves up to the objective that the Grey Knight's leader is going towards, giving away their hand. And of course we place all of their tokens down. We then go to the Psychic phase, and our Incinerator is going to go for the leader. He rolls a 4, which gets plussed up to a 5 because they're Grey Knights, and takes a wound. Then Combat Cybolt, the leader, rolls a 5, which becomes a 6, and the leader takes 2 wounds turn 1. We then go to the ready phase, and we have our Silencer shoot. We go all 6 shots into the leader, however he is over half and obscured, so we're looking for 5s. We hit twice, wounding on 5s, and we wound once, there's no AP, and we save it on a 6. Now out of the readied section we go to the regular shooting, and it's the Grey Knights first. D6, also hitting shots into the leader. He rolls a 4. Now it's going to be wounding on 3s because he's a demo. That's 3 wounds, AP -1, so we're looking for 3s to save. We fail one of them, and we decide to reroll, and the reroll saves. Lucky, as otherwise that would have been a turn 1 injury roll on the leader. The leader now returns fire, hits twice, wounds twice. The Grey Knight only saves 1, but decides to re-roll it for a CP and saves it. Now the regular Grey Knight into the leader, hits twice, no wounds though. And our combat is going to shoot again at the only Grey Knight on the point. Hits twice, only needed 2s. Wounds once, rolling a 1 unfortunately, but it's an easy save on a 6. Finally we go to the combat, shooting into the leader again, who's easily the most important target. Hits twice because of obscurity. Fails to wound, they needed 5s. Now our Zealot checks the range of the enemy leader, who's always a juicy target, but in the end decides to go into the demo on the point. He is obscured, so they're going to need 3s to hit. 2 big hits, 1 wound, AP -1, but it's a 6 to the save. Grey Knight, instead of going into the leader, going into the combat because the leader is over 12, and so they wouldn't be able to get 4 shots. Needs 4 to hit because of obscurity, hits 3 times, wounds once, but with no AP, the Custodes saves on a 3. Final shot of the round is the Grey Knight Justicar. They are all over 12 inches and all obscured. He needs 5s, but misses. And that's the end of round 1. Nobody has to take any morale checks, so we go straight past that. With a single model on an objective, Grey Knights take hold 1 and hold more. Nobody was killed, so in fact the Custodes have a devastating 0 points turn 1. The Grey Knights however did make a mistake. They did not put this Grey Knight close enough to the edge of the board, so they do not score aloof. Big mistake. As we clear the board of tokens, the Grey Knights are feeling pretty good. They've got some scary models on that central objective, and they're looking to go toe to toe against the Custodes. We go to initiative, and the Custodes take it with only a 4 to the Grey Knights 3. Checking the charge distances, there's basically no way we could fail. However, we decide to charge with the combat first because the leader only has a single wound left and doesn't really want to die. So it's D6 also hitting shots, and they get 6. That is the terrifying number the Custodes didn't want. But this is a demo and the Custode is in cover, so it's actually wounding on 3s. 3 go through. AP -1, so saving on 3s. 1 goes through and we let it. We then roll a 9 for the charge. We position ourselves so that it's going to be difficult for the other Grey Knights to charge and get onto the point. Then the leader charges, and it's an easy one with 10. Again, we try to block the other Grey Knights from getting on the point. And the Zealot just makes a normal 6-inch move onto the point. Over to the Grey Knights, the Silencer readies because that's his job. We have the regular Grey Knight charge both of the Custodes in the centre. He rolls a 10 and easily gets all the way around the Custode onto the point. A good manoeuvre. We then have the combat charge both of them, so he's got his options open, but only rolls a 5, and so decides to hop over the barrier and go into the model that doesn't have the storm shield for maximum damage. The regular Grey Knight has to advance for 1 extra inch, but that's all he needed, so that he can both get onto the point and only just with a 32mm base be within 1 inch of the edge of the board, which allows them to score aloof. And the Grey Knight Justicar just moves 6 inches, wanting to be able to still fire. All of the models in the centre are actually close. They cannot get a kill on the leader with only 1 wound remaining this turn. He decides to do the combat into the combat. Goes off on a 5, and we just allow the wound to go through. The next one goes off on a 4, which gets bumped up to a 5, and we decide to Spark of Divinity it. Needing to beat 5, we beat it with a 7. Psybolt doesn't go off. Over to the shooting phase, there's only 1 readied model. The silencer goes into the only model not in combat. He needed 5s and managed to get 3 6s. He's then wounding on 5s and gets nothing. Over to the regular shooting, and our Zealot is going to shoot the leader. He's obscured, so needs 3s, gets 1 hit. Fails to wound on a 1. The Justicar shoots back, needing 4s, and gets 2. He's going to be wounding on 5s. Manages 1, there's no AP, so it's a 2-up save. It's a 1. We think hard, do we want to reroll? Nope, we let it go through. Over to the fighting phase. Whatever happens here, this could be a decisive turn. The Custodes have initiative, so the Grey Knights challenge for 2 CP, and the Custodes have to challenge back. The Grey Knights roll a 6 to the Custodes 4. That means the Grey Knights go first. He's going to be hitting on 4s, and he rolls 2 2s. But this is too important to let go, so he CP rerolls 1 of them. Into a 2. The Gambit has failed. Combat now has 4 attacks plus a Misericordia. He's putting all 4 of his regular attacks into the model that hasn't attacked yet. Hits with 3 of them. Wounding on 3s. He gets 2 wounds, AP -3. The Grey Knight needs 6s. He doesn't get them. D3 damage, 2 damage. Dead on a 4. He now has 1 Misericordia attack, which goes into the combat hammer. It hits, it wounds, and the Grey Knight fails it. They can't reroll. Dead with a single damage roll on a 4. We then go to the leader, into the incinerator. He only hits once. We decide to CP reroll, we get the 2. We then wound with both. He needed 6 to save, but doesn't get them. It's D3 damage, 2, dead on a 4. Over to the morale phase, and Grey Knights still haven't lost more than half their team. However, tallying up the points, Custodes get a clean sweep of the board, as they killed 1, killed more, held 1, held more for 4 points, but they also scored domination, lead from the front because their leader got a kill, and cut apart because they killed somebody in melee, whereas Grey Knights just hold 1 and aloof. The score at the end of turn 2 is Grey Knights 4, Custodes 7. The Grey Knights are looking back at their battle plan and wondering why they decided to charge the Emperor's finest warriors into melee. Oops. We go over to initiative for turn 3, and the Grey Knights take it. The Grey Knight checks his range, and the Custodes is only just within 12, but the Grey Knight can't move if he still wants to score aloof, so he decides to ready. The Silencer Gunner up top readies, and the leader measures for a charge, only needing a 6 to get in. The Overwatch is unsuccessful, and the leader makes it exactly on a 6. For the Custodes movement, they want to keep scoring domination, so the leader readies and the combat moves out of 12-inch range from the Grey Knight. Over to the psychic phase, it's a double 1, that's obviously a reroll. He rerolls to an 11, which goes up to a 12 because of Grey Knights. That is D3 mortal wounds. He rolls a 3, that removes the Custodes' remaining wounds. It goes to an injury roll, and it's just a 3. Which can't be rerolled because we already used a reroll this turn. The Custodes takes a flesh wound. The Grey Knight Gunner cybolts the Custodes combat. It goes off on a 5, and we decide to Spark a Divinity and roll a 12. We then go to the shooting phase and start with readied. Custodes leader is shooting long range and obscured, so needs 4s. He gets 1, wounding on 4s, he gets it, no AP, he makes the save. The gunner returns fire all 6 shots into the leader. He's within 12, so needs 4s. He only makes 1. Wounding on 5s, gets a 2, nothing happens. We go to the final Grey Knight. Shooting is long range, it's not obscured, so he needs 4s, hits once. Wounds on a 5, 2 up save. He makes it easily. The Custodian returns fire with a single shot and misses. Over to the fight phase, and the Justicar charged and gets 3 attacks. Hits with 1. Spends a CP for a reroll? Question mark? Yes, he does, and he gets it. He's now wounding on 5s. He got nothing. Over to the Custodian, starting with the Misericordia, he hits on a 4. But he fails to wound. We then go to his 4 regular attacks, and he hits on 3 out of the 4. He'll be wounding on 3s. And he gets 3 wounds. Justicar has to make 3 6-up saves. He actually makes 1. It's D3 damage. That's 2 damage. And a dead Justicar on a 6. Over to the morale phase now. And the Grey Knights have to take a break check. They rolled a 10. Now they all have to take a shake check. Starting with the regular Grey Knight first. Leadership 7, -4 from all the dead people. On a 4, 5, 6, shakes. And he gets a 4, so shakes. The gunner is exactly the same, but rolls a 6, so he definitely shakes. At this point, of course, the Grey Knights concede as they've lost over half of their team and they have shaken fully. The Grey Knights for this turn score nothing, whereas the Custodes get hold 1, hold more, kill 1, kill more, plus domination again, but they did not get lead from the front or cut apart, making the final score Grey Knights 5, Custodes 13. The Custodes got lucky, managing to go second on the first turn, meaning that they knew where the enemy leader was going to go towards and they managed to lock that down. And in turn 2, despite facing 6 shots from the incinerator when charging, none of them got through to a single wound. Did the Custodes get lucky and manage to kill everything that they wanted to on turn 2? They definitely got lucky, but when you're hitting on 2s, that happens a lot. Really, they got lucky on the wound and the injury rolls though. Everybody, this has been Glass Half Dead and my first attempt at a real battle report. I hope you've enjoyed it, and watch out for the next videos coming up, which is an in-depth faction guide for both Custodes and Grey Knights. If you've really liked what you've seen here, a like, a comment, a subscribe, and you could even check out the Patreon, would all help support my small YouTube channel. Thank you very much everybody, I hope you've had a good day and continue to have a good day. Goodbye.